Have you ever heard of Friedrich Nietzsche? Well, he was a German philosopher who had a very interesting theory. He said that men and women can be friends, but only if there's some level of physical antipathy, meaning there is no physical attraction between them. In other words, once attraction gets into the picture, friendships become complicated. And this poses a very real question for our generation. Was he right? Because let's be honest, this is more than just a philosophy debate. In our generation, we have all seen it. You call someone your bestie, your homie, your homeboy, your homegirl, and somewhere along the line, someone catches feelings. Or it shifts into something like friends with benefits. Or one of you is friend zoned and is always hoping that it will turn into something more. And that's the tension. Hapo ndio ngori iko. Can men and women ever be just friends when there is attraction, emotions, desires always lacking somewhere in the back? Can they? Now, I know you might be thinking, unaweza kuwa fikiria this thing started with us, but this tension isn't new. It exploded into pop culture in the year 1989 with a film called When Harry Met Sally. If you've never seen the movie, even though inaenda, Harry and Sally are friends. They meet after college na wanakuwa mabeshte, and they continue each with their own lives. They date other people. They even go to the point of setting each other up with their best friends. You know? Yani yazino kana ubeshte mzuri. But all this time throughout the movie, one question lingers. Can men and women be just friends? Harry's answer from the beginning is men and women can't be friends because the sex part always gets in the way. Now, one night, Sari anapigia Hali. She's in tears after finding out her ex is getting married. And Harry kama beshte mzuri, he runs, goes over to her place. And you guessed it right, that night they sleep together. And suddenly, the friendship isn't simple anymore. What made the movie so powerful? It wasn't about... And that's what made the movie so powerful. It wasn't about two strangers falling in love. It was about a friendship slowly changing into something more. Now, the screenwriter to this movie, her name is Nora Ephron. She suggested something that went beyond just the film. She said that men and women approach the same friendship but in very different ways. She said that men are most likely looking for a romantic possibility, while many women, they just want a genuine friendship, you know? And this isn't just movie dialogue. This isn't just a movie dialogue. This is real life perception. And from that movie, a whole pattern began. Vitu zikaanza kukopi hiyo, a storyline began, and the message underneath all of them, if you're close enough, if you talk long enough, if you spend enough time together, then you're probably meant to be together. Culture normalized the idea that your bestie is most probably your future spouse. The friend zone, just a waiting room. Friends with benefits, very manageable. As in, emotional closeness naturally leads to physical closeness. That is what came up. And after hearing this narrative for decades, is it a wonder that opposite sex friendships are so complicated? Now, we've heard what culture says concerning the matter. Now let's move a bit to the intellectual side and see what research actually shows. Well, research shows that men and women experience friendship in completely different ways. As in, men tend to see romantic potential, while women genuinely see it as platonic. Here's the kicker. Men tend to overestimate how attracted their female friend is to them, while women tend to underestimate how attracted their male friend is to them. As in, that is to mean you could be in the same friendship while one of you is thinking, we are just friends, and the other one is thinking, wewe, nikikupata nimekumark. And that's the tension. Hapo ndio ngori iko. Now, we asked someone concerning this, and this is what they had to say.
Put boundaries. You can be friends without attraction. You can be friends without attraction. But I wouldn't advise a married person to really be friends with many women or ladies of opposite, or people of opposite sex, because it will bring a lot of issues. You can be really having a clean heart about it, but you don't know what the opposite sex does. What does wants. So it is just boundaries. Yeah, what happens? So they can be friends. People are friends of opposite sexes. Even pastors have friends. But now what happens? The boundaries. Yeah, it is just high. When there's something that is business-wise you can do. When you have to go on the visit, you have to carry your wife along. When the other way around also. And then your wife has to know all of them. If you have friends of opposite sex, she has to know all of them. The same to you. You have to know all the friends to your wife who are the opposite sexes. This makes it easier. Yes.
Have you ever had a friendship with the opposite sex that became complicated?
I have had friends from opposite sexes, especially when I was not married. Right now, not that much, but it didn't bring any complication. Yeah, I kept, because I began serving while I was a little still young. First, I grew up in a home that is, my father is a pastor, my mother is a pastor, is a deaconess in the church, AIC, and they brought us up very well. So along the way, we used to see, being brought up in an environment where there is God, there is purity. So this has helped us, that even as we make friends with opposite sex, we keep really serious boundaries. That has helped us. So I've had several of them, but it has never, and thanks to God for that, it has never brought any issue and any complication. Yes.
Okay, the last question is, if someone asked you for advice about having a close friend of the opposite sex, what advice would you give them?
The advice I would give them is, I will tell them it is okay, but not many. Right? Not many. And then the boundaries. The boundaries. We don't need to be. There are people who are saying that they are friends, but you will see them at night walking along the way. Places that are weird. Places that they don't need to be. You don't need to go with a friend. If you're married, for example, you don't need to take a friend who is the opposite sex out. Or you go somewhere in town and you sit in a park, you begin to tell stories. That is not wise. I would advise that you can have, but not many. But only those who can add value to your life. Alright?
Yeah.
And the value that they're adding is the value that even your wife knows. Yes. You don't need to hide anything for accountability.
You've heard what he said. I believe that's the most honest answer you're going to get. Now, let's move from what the world says and research and culture. Now let's hear what God says. This is what the scripture says about this topic. In Proverbs chapter 4 verse 23, it says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Not that word, imesema guard your heart. Haijasema lock it away, haijasema jifiche, haijasema avoid any friendship or any kind of relation. Imesema guard your heart. Meaning, when you decide maybe to be a friend with someone, that's something you do, as in unafanya ukiwa wise. Be wise about it. Be intentional. Jua unakuwa best na huyu because of this and this. I am choosing friendship. Not friendship that might be you're choosing friend. Be intentional and also be aware. Usikae tu msetua jielewi umekaa tu hivyo tu. You're seeing signs, lines, ma flags zinaweviwa in your face, lakini wewe hutaki kuona. Zinakuja unaangalia side, zinakuja unaangalia. You need to be aware. See the signs before zikufikie. First Peter chapter 5 verse 8 warns. Inasema, be alert and of sober mind. Your enemy the devil prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. That means that this is not just about the big and the obvious temptations ile yenye inakuja ni ati kama ile ya Yesu ati devil amekutokea na kuambia kula mkate. It's not about that. It's about the slow drift. Ile yenye inaanzia something very innocent lakini slowly tu pole pole. The small compromises, the bloodlines, ile yenye we are just hanging out, we are just friends, lakini kidogo kidogo it is changing into something else. you need to be aware. You know temptation yenye tunaambiwa the devil is prowling around like a roaring lion. Ukae rada ujamaa. It may not come like ikue obvious ama big, but you need to be aware of those small changes that might be leading you down the wrong path. And scripture goes on to tell us in 1 Corinthians chapter 6 from verse 18 to 20. Hiyo nitawapea homework kujisomea. It tells us we are told to flee from sexual immorality. Also in 2 Timothy chapter 2:22 it says, flee the evil desires of youth and pursue righteousness. Now I want you to take word of this word. Take note of this word. Inasema flee. Haisemi compromise, haisemi negotiate, haisemi just stay and fight ama test your strength. Inasema flee, as in toka teke, run, which means that when attraction becomes overwhelming na desires zimeanza kuwa they are burning too hot and boundaries zinashinda mnashinda mkiruka boundaries, hata kazi yote you're testing, as in una dip kato unarudisha, unaweka kamguu unarudisha. When things like that start to happen, maybe the best thing you can do is to take a step back, create a distance between the both of you. Ukiangalia uone kuna venye siku hizi, as much as this guy is my friend, kuna venye we've been spending too much time in very private places talking about certain topics that are very risky. Don't go down that road. It is a very slippery road. Ni rahisi sana uteleze, uanguke. So you need to take a step back. Ukijaribu hizi zingine, ukiona something like that, the Bible is telling you flee from sexual. Ukianza kusikia ni kama kuna venye, take a step back. That is what the Bible is telling you. Flee. Usijifanya ati you can compromise, ati you can test your strength, ati mimi I know self-control, ati mimi jamaa I know him, this chick I have known her for years, and once you see things start heading the wrong way, flee, run. That is the wisest move you can pick. Now you might be wondering, how do I guard my heart then? How do we go about this whole thing about opposite sex friendships? You know, so I have a few points naweza kupatia. Point number 1, be honest. Kuwa honest with yourself na huyo msee mwingine. When you get into this friendship, ingia ukijuaga I am getting into this purely for friendship. Usiingie hapo ukijuaga me I have feelings for this other person, lakini sasa juu zinakaa ni kazi wezi ama juu naogopa you attack while defending. Hakuna attacking while defending. Ni uku unajua. Ingia hapo ukiwa honest, mchapie iko hivi. Me, I just want to be a friend. I don't want this to evolve into anything more. I have no plans for this to evolve into anything more. Me, I just want a purely platonic friendship. Na kama sio hivyo, endo ukiwa umemwambia mimi, this is what I want. I don't want just a friendship. No, at least both of you can be on the same page. Be honest. Number 2, set limits. The time you spend together, the topics you discuss, and the places you meet up. Mnaweza kuwa mna spend a lot of time with each other, too much time, na mnaita tu friendship. It might be a bit risky, so unafaa ukae rada. Unafaa pia uangalie kuna topics zenye unaweza faa kudiscuss na huyu jamaa na zingine huyu hapana, because once you start diving ama talking about certain things, ni rahisi sana itake a route yenye itawapeleka kwenye mko mnataka. Na pia places mna meet isikwe tu kila time either kwake ama kwako, ama kama mna meet ni place private, ni nyinyi tu wawili na you need to be wise even about the places you meet up. Meet up, maybe I know you want to have a private conversation, but you can be in a public place. Mnaweza kuwa maybe at a park somewhere, ama in a field, ama mmeenda tu mmekaa mahali kwa hoteli, a restaurant, you're sharing a meal. That is a public place where the conditions aren't right for something to go wrong, but you can be having a private conversation. Be wise, I mean, as in set limits, kuna boundaries. And also, if you have a partner, kama uko in a relationship with someone, be transparent with your partner. Mwambie niko na beshte fulani, tumejuana for this long, tumeenda kukutana, maybe tumeenda kuongelea hii, ama last week ama jana nilikuwa huku. Be transparent, not just honest, mark the word I've said, ni transparent. Si lazima akuje akuulize ndio muambie. Kuwa wise. Unatoka hivi unaenda, aja kuuliza, mwambie by the way ninaenda kupatana na beshte yangu, unamkumbuka ule mwenye nilikuintroduce huyo, nimeenda kukutana we are going to this and this place to have a hangout or something like that. Be transparent with your partner. You set those limits. Number 3, Have accountability. Kweli na someone outside that friendship, a third party mwenye anawaangalia who you guys can be accountable to that person, ama you can be accountable to that person. Design yenye yeye penye yako from their viewpoint anaweza angalia on hii friendship, there's a certain route yenye ina take yenye it might be dangerous na anaweza kuja ku advise accordingly na unaweza msikiza. Be accountable to someone mwenye unaweza mwambia ninaenda kuona beshte fulani na because I'm not comfortable about this and this and this, ama justai kuanguka kwa majaribu fulani, tunaweza enda na wewe ama something. Have someone who is you can be accountable to because of this friendship. Number 4, prioritize your relationships. Yeah? Kuwa na priority list. And in that priority list, my advice to you, make sure your partner comes before your friend. As in, unafaa prioritize your partner before your friend. Partner wako akam always number 1 before your friend. Design yenye utawasikiza yes wote wawili, utakuwa na both these relationships in your life, but one is prioritized more, ama comes number 1, ama comes before the other one. Prioritize. Design yenye maybe your partner can tell you you wanted to please just usiende, don't go, ama don't meet up in that place. I don't like venye mna hang out in such a place, ama don't talk about this with your friend. I don't like how you're exposing this and this to your friend. And then prioritize your relationships first, and then now your friendships. Number 5, and this is the last option, in as a last resort, you know, create some distance. Because sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is walk away. Not even pray, not even read scripture to them, not even speak in tongues. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is walk away. We jiondoe tu. Ukianza kunotice kuna venye things are taking a certain route that zinaweza tuangusha, this is very risky. Usijifanye ukana nguvu. Don't think that you are spiritually strong enough. Sometimes the wisest thing you can do is step away. So ukifuata maybe these points and some others zenye unaweza kuwa unajua, I believe utakuwa umeweza kuguard your heart. If there are some points zenye sijataja, feel free to tell me in the comments. Endeni hapo kwa comments, niambieni maybe ni gani ni sijataja, ama which one has worked for you best, ama I want to hear from you guys. Have you ever had a genuine friendship with someone of the opposite sex that stayed completely platonic? Ama has your bestie almost kidogo siku moja karibu akuwa ya baby? Yeah? Tell me, have you ever been in the friend zone? Ama have you ever seen a just friends situation turn into something more? Drop your thoughts and experiences in the comments below and let's talk about it. Tuambiane, wewe umeexperience hiki kitu aje, wewe unaijua aje, how do you see this, wewe umeona nini? Tuongee, tuambiane. And if this conversation has made you think, or has challenged you, or has made you see things in a new angle ama differently, like this video, share it with someone who needs to see this, and subscribe for more honest and grounded conversations like this. This has been The Beat Kwa Ground with me, your host Mbugu Njoroge. Until next time, stay blessed.
Story yangu Afrika, story yangu leo kwa Afrika, story yangu Afrika.